decide to get off the struggle bus? That's my first question.
If we did, we're fresh off the struggle bus.
Fresh off the struggle bus, but back today with 3 exciting Christmas planter ideas, is what I'm being told.
I'm excited.
We're excited. So last week we had, I don't know what's going on. I think we might need new lapel microphones because we had some weird audio things going on. And so this week we don't have those microphones. We're back to our old Rode microphone that we used to use. So I'm really hoping that the audio is better today. But you know what? This is free.
Well, it's visual. If we don't talk, oh well.
Oh well. And we have construction going on outside of our building on the railroad track. Never a dull moment here in Sheffield, Alabama. So if you hear, I don't know, heavy machinery, whatever, it's just part of the charm.
Jackhammers, bulldozers, all
We
those
don't know.
things, yeah.
But you're here because you want to see ideas. So we're jumping right in.
Hey guys, if you were like me and you were working 80 hours a week sometimes, especially during the holiday season, and you want something for your front door that is easy like Sunday morning, I've got you covered. We're going to be using this Rustic cast aluminum urn, and we're going to be putting 1 tree in it, and the tree is phenomenal. But what we are going to need to do is we're going to need to take some real styrofoam, and we're going to need to make ourselves a little base. So the goal is to kind of fill up just a little bit of space here. It doesn't have to be super complicated. We're just going to maybe take 3 or 4 inches off and build that up. Do that a couple of times. And that's just a nice base to get started. Then we're going to add our tree that is already in a pot. A little too tall for this, but wanted to kind of show you how to get the base going. And then once we've got the base going, what we're going to want to do is we're going to keep it in the center because our pot is smaller than the outside of the container. We're going to cut some maybe 1.5 inch blocks and wedge those in. Now this tree actually comes, we had the factory fix this in production. The tree actually comes with a white pot, which is great for indoor. But since we're going to be supposedly putting this outside, say your front doors, we need something a little more substantial. But just a great squeaky.
That is awful.
I'm sorry. There's only one way to make it perfectly secure.
This is true.
And it is super squeaky. Let's see if we can
I
shake
think that could be
down.
used for torture, just making someone sit and listen to the... Ugh.
Okay.
Remember nails on the chalkboard
Yeah.
in school? That's what that reminds me of.
All right. So our tree is securely planted in our urn.
Mm-hmm.
So we can move this around, do whatever we need to. And then all I really need is a little bit of artificial moss, or you could use rocks, or, you know, lots of different things. I'm going to grab some artificial moss and fill that up real quick. So I've got some artificial moss, and we're just going to cut this up into a few smaller pieces. You can use real moss. You could use a variety of things. If you just had some extra pine you wanted to place around it, you could do that as well. But we're going to be using some of this artificial moss. Just cramming that in around everything so you don't see our styrofoam. See where that comes from. Tuck in that darker part, so it just kind of mounds up here. And that one is ready to go. So that takes all of like 3 or 4 minutes to score some styrofoam, break it, wedge it in, and then if you had 1 or 2 of these next to your front door, these would be great. This is super tall. This is taller than me, and I'm like 6'1", depending on the day, if my spine is curved too bad or not. So these are super tall. These would be great by a front door and also extremely easy. So round 2, slightly more complicated. Okay, a little bit more complicated. If you're willing to go a little bit on the extra mile and you want something really natural, this might be a great piece for you. We've got our rustic urn here, a little bit of like a dark gray with a lot of rust and some whitewash tones in it. We're gonna need almost the same kind of setup with this, but we need a few layers of styrofoam toward the top, not the bottom, because we're not putting a tree in it that's going to take up most of the space. We need to fill, some space middle to the top. So I did stuff some plastic in the bottom of it, which really doesn't matter. It just keeps me from having to fill the entire thing with styrofoam. Plastic is less expensive. So we're going to cut pretty much a square. You want the corners to kind of go as close to the edges as possible. And it breaks pretty easy. And then we're going to turn it the other direction, look down our urn, score again, snap it again, and that fits pretty good. So what we will want to do is we will want to put some styrofoam a little further down in the container below this, because this is going to sit right on top. So we need another piece just like that, but slightly smaller. So let's start with just going a little bit inside of that. Perfect. So this one goes right inside about 3 inches. And then we're going to place the other one that's just slightly larger on top of that. Hammer that in so it's nice and secure. And then you should be able to pretty much pick up your urn with the styrofoam and it stay in, and then it's good to go. So we have the styrofoam in the container. We're ready to go. We're going to need some natural branches. These are natural birch branches. You can cut something out of your yard. My parents actually give me lots of birch branches out of their yard in various sizes. I usually have to cut them down quite a bit, but we're going to need about a 3 foot branch. And because we're going to make this a little bit taller, and some of these are going to be a little bit taller than others, so we're going to cut them to all similar heights. So I might have to cut quite a few of these, but we just want a little bit of that V shape. We're kind of mimicking the shape of the urn at this point, just taller. So keep that in mind. We want to start a little more toward the center with our branches and let them flare out just a little bit. It doesn't have to be drastic. Just give us a little bit of height. And a couple more should do it. Maybe one more. You can never have too many branches, I don't think. Okay, we've got a decent semblance of what we want going on. So we've got our general shape. We're going to start with our Fresh Touch Cedar, what is this? Real Touch Spruce Norfolk Cedar Bundle. Trying to make sure I get the tag correct, so make it easy for you to find. And this is just a bundle of various pieces of pine cedar, so that you can take that apart, and it's just a little piece of raffia holding it together, and you get some varying styles that are, you know, fairly short. They've got about a 5-6 inch stem. Easy, no cutting involved here. We have to get to that a little bit later. But we're just going to go around the base. We're going to bend some of these down a little bit, mix them up so we get a good mixture of different styles of pines and cedars into our urn. So it looks like we went out and just fresh cut some of these pieces. These work great for vases if you've got, you know, bowls or something on a coffee table or a kitchen island. They work great for that if you just want to add a few pieces kind of laid down in something and then add some ornaments to that. Works great for that as well. But just a super easy piece to use. I'm just going to give this urn a bit of a collar so that you can't see the styrofoam. I think one more bundle should get us pretty close. And like I said, we're going to go around the edges because we're going to add a few more things more to the middle. So we just want to fill that gap really between the styrofoam and the urn there. We're going to do a few of our Port Orchard cedar stems. One of my favorite branches, my favorite cedars for the season. Get a little bit taller. And just remember to keep these varying heights as you're doing this. But we haven't had to cut a stem yet. I think that's probably going to change soon. But so far, no need for the wire cutters, except for cutting the tags off, which you can do with scissors. But you could just fill this up completely with greenery, and it would be great like that. We are going to add some red berries to really add a pop of color. Come around this side. But before we add red berries, we've got one more thing that we really need to add to make this stand out. And that is, we're going to be adding just standard incandescent mini lights. Just a strand. I think this may be 100 strand. Might be a little overkill, but it's okay if you have too much light because we're going to hide some of it anyway. Take the little twist ties off of this, and we want to tuck these in And you could use battery operated lights if you wanted to. That's entirely up to you. A lot of people have a plug right there on the porch area, and great way to utilize those plugs and give you some extra light. It's just something to brighten this up a bit. Come to the other side. And I'm just weaving inside and outside the pine. So the pine's actually going to be holding this mostly in place itself. And when it's a little bit darker outside, this will really light up well. Whoops. Getting my scissors out of my pocket. And then once I've got these all the way around one time, I'm going to go a little further toward the center. Makes it a little bit complicated to go around some of the branches. But we're actually going to let this kind of go up some of the branches just a little bit. And just use that structure. And if you wanted to use like fairy lights or something and have lights go up the branches, that would look great also. But we're just kind of keeping the lights a little lower. We're just keeping them completely off not completely on the very bottom part.
I'm interested to know who out there likes to add lights, string lights, to things.
Nobody likes that.
Nobody
likes the job of adding them. We like the end result.
Yes. Well, some people must, because they have businesses where they add Christmas lights to people's properties, and maybe that's different than. This is why all of our Christmas trees that we've sold in the past that I can remember are pre-lit. Right?
It's why nobody wants to light their own tree. Right. If you do it properly, it looks amazing, but it's so much work.
Yes. Now for the moment we've all been waiting for. Oh.
So we do want a little bit of this. It's fine to have some sticking out, coming out of the urn just a bit, because again, we are going to be adding a few berries and some things outside. We want a good amount clustered in the center because that's going to be the darkest spot. We are going to add some berries on top, so we will hide some of that eventually. So if you are looking at this, especially in the dark, and you feel like you've got a really bright spot where you added too many lights, it's probably okay, because if you add something else on top of it, you won't be able to see it. It'll even it back out. So we are going to be using our bold berry cluster branch because we want some height in here. And again, I may not have to use wire cutters if I can get this to go into the styrofoam. There we go. Getting through that second layer of styrofoam sometimes a little bit of a challenge. But we don't need a ton of these. We just wanted some of that red to pop up here in the top.
Those are pretty.
We'll be able to get by with just 2 or 3 of these.
Is this a new product? I don't remember this product.
No, this is a repeat product.
Really? Maybe we haven't used it in a video before?
I don't know that we did.
It's perfect for these porch planters.
If it's getting too much of a struggle for you to push these in, because it's a fairly thick stem.
It is thick.
Because it's got a lot of large berries on it.
Yeah, it has stuff.
Then you're just going to want to decide how tall you want this, and you can just cut that off, and it won't be quite as hard. You don't have to push, 6 or 8 inches deep down in there.
Now I'm having to decide which one of these I want for my front porch.
Always a struggle.
It is a struggle. I'm thinking if I take that wreath home from the last video,
Yeah.
and then we do this, or the potted tree, but you've even got a third idea coming up,
We
right?
do have a third option coming up.
This is hard. You'll have to let us know in the comments what you're preferring, but you might want to wait till you see all three options to see which one that you like the best. And I just want to thank everybody for last week, all of your encouragement. It really means a lot to us and lifted our spirits to see all your funny comments and your nice comments as you all help us make it through December.
Makes us want to do another video.
Yeah, it does. It helps us to be motivated to, like, hey, we got community out there who enjoy the videos and our time together on Saturday mornings or whenever you're watching. Some people say they go to sleep to our videos.
That's my monotone voice kicking in. I'd be great at one of those. Like,
Yes, you could read people bedtime stories.
clouds slowly drifted through the sky, and they're asleep, so I did my job.
Except for then they hear the ambulance in the background of the video and they're awake.
That's, just inner city sounds. Some people need that to go to sleep.
This is true.
You're too used to that.
I could never live in the city and hear that. I mean, I guess I could if you could get used to it, but that would be hard for me. I feel like I'd have in like 5 pairs of earplugs,
Well,
and
that's because we live in the middle of nowhere
We
and
do.
there is no sound.
there is no sound. It's
is no sound.
dead silent. I love it.
You're like, did a squirrel sniff?
That's what it's
It
like
sneezed.
sometimes. Like, did
We
you hear
heard
that?
something. We heard the deer.
It's lovely because we used to live on a busy road.
We did.
Our house, we lived in a subdivision, but our house was at the entrance. So the side of our house faced a very busy road, and I could not sleep very well. I actually ended up having a sleep study. I feel like I've told that story before, but anyway, the doctor was like, "You're fine. You just are a very light sleeper." And after we moved, it was so much better.
So I am using our winterberry mixed spray now. And I'm cutting it up just so we get some of that red around the base. And then I'm also going to be using we'll just go through the side with audio, and then I'll time lapse the rest so it speeds up a little bit because we got one more to get to. We're going to be using our Rolling Hills berry spray just to kind of fill in the gap between the really tall berry and the shorter berry that's going to go around the outside. So I'll let Jim time lapse this part. And now that I've got most of my berries and things in there, I realize I've got a little spot right here where I need an extra branch. I'm going to move one in the setup, but that really helps my feelings there. And then our last little touch that we're going to add some of these little ball sprays because it'll make it just a little bit shinier down at the base. I like large berries, but you get some of the shine from the balls.
And that makes it even more Christmassy.
Mm-hmm.
You could take those out after Christmas and still be okay for a little while with just the greenery and the berries.
That's true. And if you decided you didn't want the red berries, you just wanted some evergreens for,
Mhm.
you know, this a period of time you could do that.
Very versatile.
I'll just add a few of these in here.
So you're just adding these to the front?
Yeah, there's really not a need to add too many of them. You know, you could keep adding if you want to. And sometimes if I'm doing like one on each side of the doors, I'll make a bigger cluster, or I'll put a bow on one corner and then opposite on the other corner, but that's just really depending on the specific doors. Idea number 2, done, a little bit more involved than the first one, and I would recommend maybe not getting a white extension cord. Although if your house is white, it might blend into the background, so you never know. That was just the one I found.
Just depends.
Okay, for our last idea, we're going to get a little bit metallic. So we've got our bronze cast aluminum urn. These have some pretty significant weight to them, so these are great for lots of different options, but we're going to be using this for a little bit lower, very dramatic style. We are going to be adding a little bit of styrofoam, so enjoy the noise. Per usual, we're just going to fill this up at the bottom. It really doesn't have to be a fantastic job because we are actually going to be hiding most all of that. So if you just find a place where you can wedge some styrofoam in, we just need a little bit so we can put some of our foliages in there. And they won't fall out. And that's pretty good. Like I said, this one doesn't have to be perfect by any means, because really all we're doing is we're going to do the same thing we just did with this same cedar pine bundle that we just used. And again, we're going to be doing very much the same thing. We're going to be making a collar out of this. So we just need a little styrofoam to secure this into place.
This cedar spray is very versatile.
It's one of the easier things, I think, to add to. Like if you had a grapevine wreath, or you had a vinyl pine wreath that you were using and you wanted it to look more realistic, this would be a great bundle to buy and add into it, because it's got such versatility and that you get a lot of different varieties of styles and size, like widths, but you don't have to do a whole lot of wire cut.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're one of the people that don't like to cut wire and some of it's hard on your hands, then these are a great option.
Because these could be just dropped in a vase, or they come bundled so nicely with that little jute.
Raffia.
Raffia.
Train. Okay, pine successfully added. Now for our very dramatic giant pine cone ball in this metallic bronze gold color finish. Those are just going to sit there, and that's going to be a great, entrance piece for what we're doing. And then we're also going to add a little bit of this iced pine cone spray. It's got a little bit of that chocolate finish, a little bit of frosted pine, and we're going to add a little bit of this down at the base, just to give it a little more chocolate, a little bit of shiny down there.
Can you give us some tips on the size of your porch planter, maybe based on the size of your entryway? Is there any trick or tip to that, or is it just do whatever you want? I mean, obviously people do whatever they want, and that's fine, but is there some kind of, when you're deciding what to do when somebody says, hey, come do my door?
It's very much dependent on the door colors, door style, house style, things like that. What I'm going to end up doing, and as far as size, yeah, there's lots of different size doors, and if you have a single door or a double door, some people have like a narrow alcove you walk into when you're going to their door, so you really don't have a lot of room. Some people have room on one side and not the other. So sometimes if you have something like that, I will take something quite large and put it in that space that's open, and I'll take something very small that coordinates and put a little lantern with a bow on the other side, and we do a big nutcracker or something on the side that's actually got some space. That's one of the options that you have. You can be asymmetrical if you've got a lot of symmetry and you want it symmetrical. Always double up, do two of something, but that's very dependent on the house itself. So just a little bit of some pine cone going around, and then we're going to try and add a little bow at the top just to sit on top of our orb here. So we are going to add a bow to the top of this, soften it up a little bit. This is very kind of I consider this more of a masculine look, and we're going to add a bow just to kind of soften that a little bit. And we're going to be going with our very black tan, I don't remember what this is called.
Plaid, I think, just plaid.
Black, tan, plaid, something like that. It's got a gold back on it.
It's very to the point. The name is
Blackberry, like the phone. Anyway.
Right.
And then we're going to add, just to spice it up a little bit, we're going to add a little bit of this really deep sparkle ribbon to it as well. And what we're going to do is we're going to tie a few loops out of our red. We don't need a ton of this, just a little bit. So we're just going to do 3 loops on either side. And then we're going to add another set of streamers to this. So we're just going to layer that underneath the bow and tie that off. And then, that's going to sit on top of our pine cone like this, but we're going to add the plaid into that.
Ooh.
We've got that red stripe and the plaid. We've got a little gold on the back. So, and this one's very stiff, very hard wired, so it's going to be a lot of fun when we add multiple streamers to that. And we're just going to add this into the bow that we've already made.
We do have a bow tying playlist if you're interested in a little more step-by-step, slower. I'm going to have to get you a mat to put your scissors and wire cutters on.
Rubber mat.
you just throw them down. Like, how loud can I throw these down? That's what it feels like.
I could probably make it louder.
I don't know.
Well, at least the microphone's not on me, so it's not picking up right next to me.
It's still... I'm sad about our microphones. I'm going to have to figure that out. And I hope that this audio is tolerable. That's all I know.
Oh, good, jackhammer.
Jackhammering.
I was wondering when that was going to start. Okay, last little bow. We're going to add this to the other side of the red.
And you could really add bows to any of the things you did today.
You could, if you wanted to spice them up a little. Shake this guy out a little bit. So to add this to our ball, I'm going to, where it won't blow away, I'm going to add this little stem to our bow and twist some wire around that so that I can securely place this in this. It's actually like a styrofoam ball with all the pine cones sticking in it. It's extremely secure. Find my wire first now. I lose just about everything pretty quickly. I may be losing my mind soon.
Don't say that.
But I'm going to insert that so it will stay, and then we can pull all the ribbon out to where we need it to go. We're going to cut some, fold these over, cut some tails in this ribbon so it's got a much more finished look.
So really this is 2-in-1. You can do without the bow on top if you're not a bow person, or if you want it just to be more natural.
But those are very in.
Bows are in. But I think that ball is so beautiful by itself that
It is.
you could go without the bow. And
You could absolutely.
I think you should make a gigantic bow.
A big bow?
Yeah, like a really big bow.
How big?
I mean, can you use your ribbon and make a giant bow, or would you have to get larger fabric of some kind?
It depends on what you actually want. It's like if you want it to be super wide and just be 2 loops, then you would have to use like a sheet or something that's super wide.
Yeah.
Roll of wrapping paper kind of size thing. But if you wanted the bow to just be like regular ribbon, but just gigantic, then yeah, I can make it whatever size you really want it. I mean, it's very time taking and complicated to make one enormous, but yeah, I mean,
May not be a purpose.
we make them for cars, and we'll just, we'll do a 30-40 yard bow on top for a car.
That's true.
I've made 100-yard bows before. Depends on what you're making it out of, how complicated that's going to be. Some of the stiff ribbon really hurt your hands once you're holding it together like this.
I bet. We can't thank you enough for being here with us today. If you're new to our channel, make sure you check out the description. That's where you're going to find a link to everything that you saw in today's video. Remember, David designs and develops the majority of our products, so a lot of these things are unique, and you'll see them with us first, and then you'll see other companies that have them, because unfortunately you're not able to copyright all of the different things, right? We
Yeah.
always get questions about that.
That's true.
So,
We try to develop lots of new things every year because we get copied so much.
yeah, so anyway, we hope that you enjoyed today's video. Everything you see in today's video is David Christopher's brand and can be found on our website. Remember, we sell wholesale, we sell retail, and we are always happy to help our customers. If you have a question, always come to us and we'll help you find whatever you're looking for. Until next time, have a great one.